And joining us now is MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Dilanian and MSNBC legal analyst, former Manhattan Assistant DA Catherine Christian. Catherine, just based on Monica's breakdown, what we know right now, do you see anything that would warrant an investigation into Christopher Wray, let alone potential charges?
No, it appears, again, this is yet another person who is on an enemies list, to borrow the Nixon's phrase, and let's just investigate whether or not there's probable cause of the crime has been committed. It's just, it seems, the president said justice. It seems like it's more of a payback for perceived wrongdoing.
And so, no, they're there, at least on the surface. We'll keep track of that. We're also getting fresh reaction to the James Comey indictment. Here's just the latest from Republican lawmakers.
James Comey lied to Congress. Okay, he took an oath. He said things to Congress that were simply not true. It's called perjury.
This isn't about what he did to the president. It's about lying to Congress and obstructing justice. And that's what he was indicted for.
I believe he withheld exculpatory information from the court because he wanted Trump to be found guilty. I think there's a conspiracy charge that could be made.
Ken, I have to wonder, what kind of a test case was this for the Trump administration, this Comey indictment? And is this the reaction they expected, which is very little blowback?
I think so, because, look, their base has been marinating in these conspiracy theories for years that James Comey was part of a deep state plot to unseat Donald Trump. And you heard Lindsey Graham there. He wasn't actually talking about the underlying case, the perjury case that they brought against Mr. Comey. He's talking about some other thing regarding the Russia investigation, which he is obsessed with, and which an inspector general has found was essentially, with some mistakes by the FBI, properly predicated and reasonably brought. And so, I think obviously a lot remains to be seen about how this plays out in court. So we don't know yet what lessons the Trump Justice Department is going to learn from this. If they are completely repudiated by a judge, they could learn a different kind of lesson on it.
Now, we're also hearing from Trump White House Special Counsel Ty Cobb, as well as former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, weighing in on this Comey case over the weekend. Let's listen to that.
The top count, actually, in the indictment approved 2, but by a very slim margin, 14 out of 23, in a process where there's no defense attorney in the room and the standard is merely probable cause. The next courtroom that this will be assessed in, if it gets to trial, requires unanimity from 12 people, and there will be a vigorous defense. I don't see any way in the world that, Comey will be convicted.
It is possible, since the prior U.S. attorney evaluated that evidence days before and says it wasn't enough to bring it to a grand jury, it's very possible that a judge could come to the same conclusion, and that would dismiss the indictment outright, literally at its first steps.
And Catherine, we haven't heard from any legal minds that say that this indictment looks like a strong case. Do you think that it's likely this judge will dismiss the case?
I won't say it's likely, but there's a strong chance. Mr. Comey says he wants a trial. I think his lawyers will file a motion to dismiss the indictment, not just because of the flimsiness, possibly, of the evidence, but because he's, could you argue, selectively prosecuted, vindictively prosecuted, egregious prejudicial statements that have been made publicly. It's very easy for a defense attorney to say, let's go to trial, because if you're found guilty, it's not you, the defense attorney, is found guilty, it's your client. So I won't cavalierly tell people, just go to trial. But he has, Mr. Comey, a strong case to get the indictment dismissed.
Ken, there are other moves we're tracking over the weekend. The FBI firing 15 agents in relation to the George Floyd protests. Also, the DOJ now issuing a subpoena for Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis's travel records. What's happening on those two fronts?
Right. So those agents, some of them had been previously demoted. Many of them or all of them, I believe, took a knee during a George Floyd protest. And what they said was that wasn't necessarily in sympathy with the protesters. It was a way they were trying to de-escalate the situation. This was a very tense moment in Washington, D.C. back in 2020. And look, many of them are going to sue, and there's people who are telling me that they believe these firings were illegal. In terms of the Fonnie Willis thing, this is just yet another example of the Trump Justice Department appearing to turn their criminal investigatory lens to a sworn to an enemy, an adversary of the president, someone who brought charges related to alleged election fraud in the 2020 election. So, yeah, I mean, it's just another sign that Donald Trump is what he wishes for the Justice Department is happening. Whether he's ordering that privately or not remains to be seen. He's certainly talking publicly about where he wants it to go.
Ken Dilanian and Catherine Christian, thank you both.